Hey everybody, Professor Snart just checking in as we work on Unit 2 in our World Lit class. And so I have due dates up in front of me, and just a reminder that Unit 2 Creation Myths is due Thursday, September 2nd. So come in just around the corner here. And then I'm in the unit here, and obviously what you'll find is a fairly lengthy, and we'll go for all the units, kind of background discussion or some reading notes maybe to direct your attention to various things, and then obviously a pretty extensive reading requirement. And then the discussion board assignment, and I've mentioned this before, and it's highlighted here, so it's fairly obvious. But just to be drawing your attention to the fact that the discussion board, and this is really the first major one we're doing, you're really treating as more like a formal essay. It's still just a couple of pages, but you are laying out kind of a thesis or a main idea, and then fundamentally what I'm looking for in whatever topic you choose to write on is direct quotation from the work or works, depending on what the requirement has been. So fundamentally it's not a question of mechanics and grammar and that kind of thing. It really is just component pieces that I'm looking for. So strong topic or thesis idea, topic sentences that relate in a clear way, and then obviously that specific direct quotation from the texts that we're reading, or maybe just one text depending on what option you're choosing to write about. Not concerned with MLA citation. There's just really not room enough in the class, honestly, to be concerned with overly concerned with that kind of thing. And then mechanics, grammar, that sort of basic level stuff only becomes an issue, a serious issue, if it gets in the way of the message or the idea that you're trying to communicate. So a couple of minor mistakes here and there, or even typos, which can show up particularly in the discussion board format, not really that big a deal. But I am looking for, the main idea, thesis, topic, sentences, and then specific quotation. So to get full points, you want to be sure that all of those pieces are there. Minimum 5 paragraphs, a couple pages we're looking for. I've suggested in the unit here that you may even want to actually type the thing out in Word, just because it's a little easier to format, to revise, especially if you have basic stuff like spell check turned on, and then to cut and paste into the discussion board once you're ready to do so. And always pay attention, because in just about every unit there'll be a response component, so you're responding to at least 2 other classmates, but obviously in a much more informal and condensed way, so maybe just a thoughtful paragraph. An idea you hadn't thought of before, maybe you wrote on a similar idea, or just about anything is fine as far as the responses go. Okay. And maybe a word quickly about creation myths. One of the things that we begin to see already in the class, and one of the most interesting components of the World Lit, even though it's not in the title, it really could be, is this notion of a kind of comparative literature approach. So in many ways we are discovering, even back to some of the earliest kinds of narratives that cultures have told themselves and passed on to following generations, is fundamental similarities in those narratives, even when the cultures themselves are geographically dispersed. And so one of the things to think about is, despite our tendencies now to pinpoint differences among cultures, is to find these really basic common roots, even when certain cultures didn't start geographically in the same place, or even temporally at the same time. But how often the basic kind of creation narratives that they told themselves had so many kind of fundamental components that were really similar, or almost identical in some cases. It's really interesting to discover. And so that might be one of the interesting things that you begin to see already, and as we look at the rest of the readings that are in the units, is that kind of comparative literature element to what we're doing. Okay, so keep on top of those due dates and be in touch with me if you have any questions about that kind of stuff, and I will talk to everybody soon.